The attempted TikTok ban backfires. Many of you know, as we have over 170 million on TikTok and we have about 17 million businesses being run from TikTok. Many people rebelled, obviously, because they felt that they were being lied to. As many may not know, there's a lot of information that you are getting from TikTok, especially what's going on in genocide, for example, in Israel and all that. And the young people, as you know, you try to rebel in colleges and all that. You stand for your rights, right? Freedom of speech. And unfortunately, many of you, or some of you, I should say, were arrested. Many of you saw the reality about freedom of speech is not what most people think. I know that firsthand. I'll get to that a little later. You were trying to make a difference. Obviously, you wasn't even talking about America. You were talking about a foreign entity that was committing genocide, and yet some of you were arrested. I saw supervisors and college professors and directors quickly do meetings that involved the congressman, all because of what? Because they were criticizing a Zionist regime that were creating war crimes. Now, I know myself firsthand because I myself many years ago, when I thought I was standing up for my rights based on the Constitution, especially the First Amendment, I was dragged out of my car and beaten by police officers. When I know I had not committed a crime, there was probably a mistake in me, but I exercised my right. And I learned right then and then that the freedom of rights that they allege you have, it isn't so. Now, I show a lot of information online, but I honestly believe that one person can make a difference because it starts with an idea. It starts with a spark, and we've seen that throughout life. For example, Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, Abraham Lincoln, Ronald Reagan with the Berlin Wall, and many other, Bob Marley, and many others, and depending on your beliefs, including Buddha, including Jesus, right? So one person can definitely make a difference. And if you will see this is why they're trying to stop us, and I want you to watch this video.
Yeah, it was just one ant. One ant.
Yeah, you're right. It's just one ant.
Yeah, boss, they're puny.
Puny? Say, let's pretend this grain is a puny little ant. Did that hurt?
Nope.
Well, how about this one? Are you kidding? Well, how about this? You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay?
Now that you saw that video, if you can leave to a better place, please leave. If you got the money and you're young enough and you could go, for example, to China, as you saw, many of you rebelled. So when you were being blocked for, even though it was 24 hours, because allegedly Trump authorized it again for 24 hours, even though those of you that use TikTok, you see it's a little different now, right? And you are being censored. And I've seen that because obviously I don't get the same amount of numbers that I used to get. So you're limited, right? Now, that being said, I could tell you for a fact as a licensed realtor, and I will put this up as well. If you're here, unless you're making $100 and something thousand a year and you're young starting out, I don't see you buying a house. And this is a fact. I don't want to waste time talking about it. I'm just going to put up the paper. I want you to read it because right now, this is in the state of Florida and Kissimmee area. If you bought a house at $340,000, you need basically $110,726 just to qualify at today's rate. So that's very, very unbelievable. Many of you note that because you rebelled and you went to Retinol, a Chinese app, because obviously they will let you that because they will give information for China. So many of you said, the hell with it, let me go to an actual China app. But what happened was when you went to Retinol, like I did myself, you saw that all these lies that we've been told, we also saw that the living or the cost of living in China is a lot less better than it is here. We saw free health insurance. We saw free zoos. We saw beautiful cities like Shanghai, which is about 50 years above ours. Beautiful, cheap apartments, rental, property, you don't have property taxes over there. So the property is actually yours. And I'll get to that later on. So you see that reality is, it's not what we have been told by the elites that are running the United States. And we have a lot, more than enough information. And I see how the GDP is and the debt we have, the national debt. And I understand mathematics because I took a few classes when I was taking economics in college. I'm not an expert, but I really know the trend because it's mathematics. Most Americans are unaware or they don't pay attention. And you have to look at these numbers that I'm putting up here, because if you really watch it, you will see that it's just a matter of time before our empire collapse. And when I mean just a matter of time, I see less than 10 years. If you could get out of here by 2030, before then, if you could leave now, by all means. We see the changes that's going on. And I myself, like I said, I was very skeptical, but because I was in the business, I was being, I had to do what I had to do to feed my family. But at the same time, I saw things like this, like who gets paid, especially for minorities, who gets paid $104,000 to be able to qualify for a $340,000, which is just about average. We're not talking about a $450,000, $600,000 property. We're talking about $340,000 in today's current market. That's unbelievable, guys. And I really feel sorry for you. And this is why the quote that I want to use is, right? If the American people ever allow private banks to control the issue of their currency, first by inflation, then by inflation, the banks and corporations that will grow up around them will deprive the people of all property until their children wake up homeless on the continent their fathers conquered. And we are seeing that, guys. And obviously, there is elite of families that obviously took over our country since 1913. Okay. And it's been going on for a while. And obviously then the creation of the Federal Reserve Bank, the IRS, and I'll put some more information here, but I want to stick to these facts, which is, if you still doubt, and even looking at the numbers that what I'm conveying here is an actual fact, and the trend that is going, many of you will remain homeless. It happened already back in 2008, and it wasn't as bad as eventually it will be. Yeah, I know myself because it was unfair to me. I worked hard. I invested a lot of money in real estate. It was hard-earned money that I saved for years, and I started investing in properties and flipping and fixing, and I got caught in the 2008 market crash, right? And it was unfair to me because I was one of those that actually put down 30 to 40% down, right? And they were giving out these loans, 106% financing, and many people couldn't afford it. It was all set up. All right. But if you want to know the corporates, then you have to read this, because I won't have the time to explain, because then you won't probably pay attention because people have other things to do and they get distracted right away. But these banks obviously were Goldman Sachs, Lehman Brothers, JP Morgan Chase, Citibank, Bank of America, Countrywide Financial, Washington Financial at the time, New Century Financial. And this had to do with credit rating agencies, including Moody. The United States government was a co-conspirator. Okay, they helped the Federal Reserve Bank. They also helped these other banks so they wouldn't go, under. They wouldn't go under. So I want you to read this, because these are a fact that is unfair to many of you. And right now, what's going on in America, guys, please understand, it is not a white and Hispanic thing or a Latino thing. It's just about the human race. I get we need some rules, and we have to protect our borders. But that being said, what's going on is tremendous. Please note that the Latino community brings in trillions of dollars to the United States economy. And obviously many here are third, fourth, 5 generations, and they bring family over, or lost families, or, relatives. And unfortunately, there's a lot going on, and I honestly find it unfair. People say, bring them to your house, but I already discussed and I proved that how we, America, through these elites, right, have gone to their country and robbed them many times, okay, and put a system that robs them as well, which is the part of the Federal Reserve Bank with, I mentioned before, fractional lending. So we're basically making out loans that there's no funds, right? Because it's not backed by gold, it's not backed by anything, and we robbed them. Then they can't pay back, and then you wonder why they're coming right here to America. So I want you to watch this, but this is, again, what's going on right now, guys, is division. It's happened before. Our history, I assure you, is a lie, especially what happened in Germany. It is a lie, all right? I have videos that I could prove of that time, of things that are a lie, but unfortunately, it's always the innocent people that suffer, right? It's always the innocent people that suffer. And just like now, these Latino families, and even us Americans that are Hispanics, Latinos, okay, we're facing a lot of consequences as well, because now they racial profiling us. Now you speak Spanish, you automatically assume to be illegal. You have to go through all these procedures when you shouldn't be going to that. We've seen even Puerto Rican Americans that they've been detained who are veterans that fought for this country, and yet they've been put to this process. So this is unfair. It's going to create a lot more issues and division, and eventually could create a major outbreak or even civil war. But that being said, for those of you that don't understand, I want you to think about something. And listen, I know that people are gullible. I get it. People are gullible. And think about this. And I have nothing against anyone, because I love the human race, right? But a lot of you white people as well, you were fighting among each other for hundreds and thousands of years. As far as I recall, I remember the war between Britain and France, which was over 100 years. And I even know about the war with the one in Waterloo, that was also with Britain and France, where Rothschild was involved, but he was funding both sides of the war, and eventually he went to Britain and lied about the market, where everybody felt distressed and sold out the market, the shares, because they honestly thought that France had won based on a lie. But when the soldiers came back on horseback, they actually found out that that information was a lie, that Britain won. But meanwhile, everybody sold their stocks. It created a panic in the stock market. And meanwhile, the Rothschild came and bought off everything. Okay. And we do that to this day. We create wars. And this is why since 1913, when the Federal Reserve Bank, which is not government, don't believe that. Look who are the owners of the bank. Okay. And there are 12 families and 12 hiding under entity, just like BlackRock. BlackRock owns trillions of dollars and has many other companies underneath it that also has shares that buy as well from BlackRock. Who are they? I mean, they own trillions of dollars in the economy. They have a big effect, just like what's going on right now in our government. They're not representing us, guys. And it's up to you. And yes, it's up to you to make that difference. Okay, it's up to you to research. I mean, again, I've said it before. Today we have a Chat GPT, we have DeepSeek, that you can actually do your research, ask questions, and get informed, because it's a time of the revealing. We are waking up, but it may be too late. I'll be honest. It may be too late. I myself, if I didn't have kids here, especially daughters from my first wife, I would leave as well. I'm being honest. I will leave as well, because I see what's coming. I know what's coming. I have a good sense of things. And I don't want to say more than that, because then I will sound crazy. But it's also mathematics. I see what's going on. I see the heading. History repeats itself, and the history, is a lie. But things are happening, and it's time for a change. And the only way we could change that, guys, I kid you not, is by abolishing the Federal Reserve Bank, the IRS, right? And for those of you that may not understand and say, oh, but how are we going to take care of stuff? Listen, guys, before they were here in power, our country was running just fine with its military, roads, and all that. And obviously, property taxes pays for our own local taxes, which is the roads, bridges, schools, police officers, fire departments. So don't be fooled. Okay. They use that as an excuse. They took over since 1913. It's gotten worse. And look where our dollar's at. What it's worth today, less than 4 cents. That's right. Less than 4 cents of the buying power would have had if they would not stepped in. And that doesn't include the extra bills that we have or expenditures, such as those payroll taxes, IRS taxes that we didn't have before. Okay. So we've been duped. All right. And it's going to get worse. And it's a Ponzi scheme. If you saw my previous video about fractional lending, it's a Ponzi scheme, lending money out of interest on the hope of bringing more money, which is a Ponzi scheme. It's a legal Ponzi scheme. Therefore, the house of cards is going to come crashing down. This is why we have had bank run. And if you don't know what a bank run is, research it so you could get a better idea. Because if a lot of people start to collect their money, the banks are going to fail because they don't have the money. Hello, they created money out of the promise of somebody else's debt. Okay. And that includes mortgages. Same thing applies to the treasury bond. You have many countries that invested their currency and bought our debt, like China, Japan, as I mentioned before, and now they're returning that, and that affects our Ponzi scheme, which eventually, I'm not going to lie, it's going to lead us to World War III, because these people don't want to get rid of their power. That's all I have. I don't want to drag this out. Just watch these papers, read them, pause it, because only you can make the difference. But again, this is not against Hispanics and blacks, because it's also been against whites. I want you to watch this video here, because history does repeat itself, and eventually this is about all of us. They want to keep you divided. I see it, and I'm surprised. 50-something years that I am today, and I still see the division between Republicans and Democrats at each other's throat, and it gotten worse. When reality is, you should focus on the founding of people of the Federal Reserve Bank and all these companies that are taking over the United States, running this nation. Because I'm telling you, it's just going to get worse. We see what we have done. I see what we've done throughout history, especially through Latin America. I see that they have actually played with our lives and try to poison us. And I already disclosed in other videos, and you can research that as well. So why do you believe in your government? Why do you trust your government? They're not representing you. They're not representing we the people. Okay? And remember the Declaration of Independence? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And to secure these rights, government are instituted against what? Government instituted among men, right? And what it tells you to do, read the rest, because you have to stand up for your rights. That's all I have for you guys. Please like, comment, and share. I want to know that you're listening to this, so comment, because that's the only way the algorithm of Facebook and TikTok is going to pick up and share this so we can wake up, because it's a matter of time. I believe that soon they will block us, right, or stop us from sharing this truth that I'm sharing with you. Thank you for watching.